Hello, and welcome to My Left Ear. I'm Carrie Freeman. This is a pro-democracy docket here. And I often have a co-host named Petey, but he's taking a nap on the porch, and I asked him to come and visit, but we'll have to see. Before I get into anything, I want to ask you to like and subscribe, because I have 21 more subscribers needed to reach 10,300, which is ahead of my goal for the new year. So maybe you could be part of those 21 people who subscribe. All right, so part of what I do here is I use my left ear, which is my intuitive side, and I'm sharing with you from that place right now, and I have a few runes that I'm going to read shortly. So what's come up for me with my left ear, MLE, is what I call it, there seems to be a trifecta that my subconscious has put together. And here is what it looks like to me. Mr. Smith, the prosecutor, has returned to Washington, this time with receipts and evidence all about the current president. And the receipts and the evidence points to treason. He hasn't released it for us to read. He's waiting because he has offered to Dum Jim Jordan wants him to come in and testify in private. And JackSmith says, oh, I would love to testify, but I want to testify in public. So he's put them in an awkward position, and we'll see what happens. Then the other thing is Judge Cannon from Florida, the very partisan and inexperienced judge who kind of ruined that whole thing with the documents case in Florida. She's in hot water now. And there were documents that she refused to release that would have really opened the case up, but she didn't. She did that partisan thing, and she is being forced now from a higher court to release these documents, and must do it within 30 days. So that's going to be a big reveal. All right. So this is number 2. And then more is coming out on Epstein as experts, investigators are focusing on the finances. And there have been millions, and I even think billions of money transfers for Jeffrey Epstein from big financial Wall Street companies, not just one, but several. And people have just overlooked, like, let's look into these transfers are huge. And evidently, and if anybody at those companies suggested, they probably were shut down. You know, if anybody signals that we should check on these transfers. They're regular and they're enormous, but it didn't happen. So this will blow up the Epstein case. Just, I can't find the word, but blow it up, okay? Nuclear. Now, the other thing that adds to all of this is that ex-Prince Andrew has been stripped of his title and his mansion, and his whole existence has been diminished because of his association and emails that were uncovered between he and Jeffrey Epstein. Now, that may seem like a big leap. It's across the pond, but this Epstein thing is worldwide. And so it doesn't help the current president, the yellow-haired guy. And the third thing is, just generally speaking, and especially since last night, there was such a great, there was just a great Democratic, groundswell that happened. We hoped it would happen, and it happened. And now that gives all of us, Democrats, independents possibly, and politicians, like more confidence to now get tougher and move forward with winning the midterms in 26. So that's kind of a trifecta, and I feel like it's all like gonna kind of converge in one space, not spread apart. It's gonna boom, like a combustion. So we will see. So last night the Democrats took the lead like a horse race, and it appears that Hakeem Jeffries will be the new House Speaker. I didn't throw runes on it, but I don't think that Speaker Mike the Grinder Moses Johnson is going to be in that position for much longer. And because of the good showing for Democrats and the wins for Democrats, so uplifting, according to the yellow-haired man in the White House, his whole nature, his whole makeup is that he is never in the wrong. And when something goes wrong, then someone else must pay. Someone else must fail. And I think it's going to be Stephen Miller, and I think it's going to be Stephen Miller before the end of the year. Trump is furious right now, and he would never look at himself, never realize. In fact, I wrote this tweet yesterday, and it got so many retweets. This was yesterday. This was right before last night that I wrote this, but there was all this talk about that the GOP were going to, get wiped out, and they did in this election. So I wrote, of course, GOP should not be surprised, but they are surprised by this win. And I wrote, well, when a sadistic regime doesn't feed people, provide health care, cut SNAP, remove school lunches, deny women bodily autonomy, why would anyone vote for you? So what we had was a mammoth blue tsunami. That's what we had. All right, so now here we go with my left ear, in terms of smoky-eyed Vance, doesn't believe that he and Erica Kirk are involved at this moment. It might be in the back of her mind. It might be in the back of his mind. When she embraces men, she's very, very aggressive and all-consuming, and she did that with Trump to the point where he was uncomfortable. She was like hanging on him like he was her father. And I don't know if you know this, but there's a video out there of Erica Kirk before going on stage for Charlie's memorial, but it's backstage, and she's putting theatrical tears in her eyes and checking that it looks good, so that when she is introduced and she walks out on the stage, she has these fake tears. But there's a video of her doing it backstage, so you should look for it. It was on, and I noticed it, right? I went, what is she doing? So on top of it, and this is pretty ugly, evidently MAGA is attacking Usha Vance. I really don't know anything about Usha Vance other than she just has sort of a nice vibe, and she's a mom, and I guess she's a great attorney, very accomplished, but certainly she doesn't need to be attacked. What is that? So my profile on Erica, and then I have runes, is that she's just wildly seductive and manipulative. That she did not register that the yellow-haired guy doesn't like to be hugged or hung on or physical. And by the way, Charlie Kirk's parents did not attend that memorial. They did not like Erica from the get-go, and they warned him about her. And right now there's a story that I can't confirm, is that Charlie was having trouble with the marriage at the time of his assassination. And so that will be revealed. All right, now we're going to get to runes. Will Stephen Miller be fired before January 1st? And I got, the first rune I got was the rune of strength in the reversed position, okay? And it says, without ears to hear, eyes to see, you may feel, you may fail to take advantage of the moment, Stephen. It could be an opportunity that's missed or a weakening of your position. This particular rune, reversed, highlights failures. So this rune calls for serious thought and introspection, but we know that introspection is not a feature of Stephen's makeup. Then we got constraint. It's a rune of challenge to the self, and about owning our dark little places. And boy, he has big dark places. And constraint, however, shines a bright light into those rooms, and that makes me feel that he's going to be gone, because that would bring about some bright light and relief. And I think he's the first person that Trump would target, and he's responsible for all the violence with ICE. I mean, he really instructs them, be rough, be nasty, be violent. So it tells Stephen Miller that if constraint appears in your rune, Stephen, which is right here in front of me, it's sure that you're going to be challenged on an intimate level. All right? It's the great teacher, constraint. But, you know, it always depends on someone's ability to learn. You know, he wouldn't be open. He's very mired in being this Nazi guy. So harvest is a yes. And by the way, the harvest is for us in this reading because it means beneficial outcomes. He's gone, bye-bye. And it has to do with the endeavor that we are committed to cleaning out this nasty group of people. It does represent new momentum, peace and harmony, which we would not have with Stephen Miller around. One of many, by the way, of course. But it does signify a period of waiting, and that would be probably us waiting for the midterms to turn it all around, because then there will be control over the president, whoever the president is at that time, and it probably won't be Donald Trump a year from now. So there's no way to push the river. We have to be patient. That's really a difficult thing to do, but we should have a lot of hope from last night. I just want to keep repeating that. I have a client in a few minutes, so I'm going to move on here. And then I took a clarifier rune when I pulled these runes a few minutes ago, and I got stand still. And what's so funny about stand still right now, getting it right now, this time in history, is that it represents the property of ice, I-C-E, ice, which I find like ironic, I guess. But it does tell Stephen, and I'm reading right from the book, the winter of your spiritual life is upon you. And you may find yourself entangled in a situation whose implications you are in effect, blind. You may have to surrender, Stephen Miller, you little Nazi. Positive accomplishment is unlikely right now. We want you to know that, Stephen. And that there is kind of a freeze on useful activity. Your plans are on hold. So you need to prepare for this. Submit and be still. And the last line for stand still is, what has been full must empty. Out of some kind of intuition, I asked the runes, does Erica Kirk have a plan? And then the other word could be an agenda. And then I followed it up with, is she dangerous? So I got the rune of separation, and it says, now's the time to separate old paths. Well, she really is, if she's not married anymore and she's a widow. Old skins must be shed, outmoded, relationships discarded. Now, the weird thing is, and I am not alone, she seems relieved to me. So this separation is a rune of radical severance and a peeling away, and it asks her to give up some aspect of her behavior. She does not, as I profile her, she does not indicate she would be capable of that. The peeling away and the self reflection, but it does speak of new experiences coming to her, and it is the rune of acquisition, and we can tell that Erica Kirk wants to acquire, okay, and the appropriate action for her is to submit and just retreat, which she's not going to do, but that's the advice. She got defense, which is avertive powers, and it tells her that even if there appears to be an obstacle in her path, that a delay may prove beneficial. Now, she's going to be midstream and lose her protector in the yellow-haired guy. Because we know he's not going to sustain. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens to her or what her choices are. But the rune of defense speaks of difficulties arising at the beginning of new life. And warrior reversed came up for Erica, and it warns her about hasty or ill-timed actions, decisions, because she can leak a lot of force, energy, and it suggests that she may have an association that is short-lived, but it has fulfilled its span. I don't know what that relationship is. Maybe her close friendship with Smoky-Eyed Vance, but we don't really know what that relationship is at this point, other than we just saw something that no wife would want to see in public. Examine your motives carefully, Erica. And then it says, be careful about lusting after an outcome. I find that very amusing right now. She may have to sacrifice an old way of thinking, but I picked a clarifier, and it was disruption. So it's called the Great Awakener. So she's got some shocks coming to her. She's got some surprises coming to her, and she doesn't know that yet. And then I feel very confident in saying Trump will disappear. That's kind of a nice way of saying it. So it feels like she's up to something. She has an agenda. And she's had it for a while, I think. We'll keep an eye on her. She's not likable. She looks very fake in every way. Like, you could say, oh, Dolly Parton looks fake. No. Dolly Parton has a look, but she is like a real human being. That's not what I'm talking about. There's a whole presentation here with Erica that's just kind of makes me gag. Now we're going to go to quotes because I have to get ready for my client. Here's the quote, and it's by John McCain, U.S. Senator. I may have used this before and failed to indicate that I used it on my list of quotes, but no matter what, it's a really good quote. He said, Russia is a gas station run by a mafia masquerading as a country. Now think about that. He's been gone for a while. He said that a while ago. It was very prophetic. And I think good evidence is pretty obvious. The Democrats triumphed last night, bounced back. We got a lot of hope. We see what's possible for the future. Anybody who's really intelligent says we work harder now because the GOP is meeting to see how they can blow us out of the water because they don't give up. So we don't give up either. We don't take last night for granted. We just work. And then, you know, Mamdani, who was, God, really undermined and I think misunderstood, won. He won. And all of this gives Dems energy now for 26. We needed a little bit of hope, and this is a lot of hope. And here's something about low ratings for a president. They really don't ever go up. You can check with all the political experts. Once they go low, like 37, they all of a sudden go, oh, we're back at 48. It just doesn't happen. There's no history of it. So that's kind of a happy thought. More to come. Good to see you. Just feel good today. We haven't had a day to feel good in a while. But not cocky. I don't think we should feel cocky or too confident, but this gave us the juice to take away power from an authoritarian and a sadistic character, the likes of which we've never seen here in the United States. So feel good, hold good thoughts, and I'll see you soon. And Petey says hello. I'm so sorry. I could have picked him up and brought him out here, but he found a crumbled up sheet on my Adirondack chair, and he's curled up on it, and he's just so cozy right now and happy. But I'll make sure he gets back with us on the next show. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.